Hey, what's going on YouTube? Welcome back to another video. In today's video, we're going to be going over what I consider the most important gunfights in all of Warzone. We're going to be talking about SMG gunfights. Now, why do I consider them the most important? Well, in any other gunfight, like an assault rifle gunfight or a sniper rifle fight, if you go down, the enemy is very far away and your teammates are probably going to be able to revive you. But if you're in an SMG gunfight, it's mainly just you versus the enemy. And if you go down, you're probably going to get finished and you're going to go back to the gulag. So that's why I came up with some tips and tricks such as pre-aiming and strafing that will help you win more SMG gunfights. Also guys, in the background you're going to be watching a 21 kill game that I got the other day, and throughout this gameplay and commentary I'm going to be showing you guys some clips of each tips and trick we're talking about. So I'm going to be giving you little mini tutorials that are going to go over what we're talking about. Before we get into the first tip, hey, my name is Kdubz, and my channel is all about helping you become a better Warzone player. In this new series I've came up with, we'll be covering everything that you need to know to get those high kill victories. If you guys could subscribe, it would mean so much to me guys, and I would really appreciate it. All that being said guys, let's get into the video. Alright guys, so for the first tip we're going to be talking about is probably the most important of all these tips. So the first tip is called pre-aiming. Now, a lot of you probably know what pre-aiming is, and I'm going to be teaching you two different types of pre-aiming. There's pre-aiming when you're aiming down sights, and then there's also crosshair centering. So they're both two very important things. They're both pretty similar in what they are actually doing for you, and basically there's this guys. So you got two types of aiming. You got active aiming and then you got reactive aiming. You want to be doing active aiming. Active aiming is you're already being aware of where you think the enemy is, versus reactive aiming, moving around, and then whenever somebody shoots at you, then you flick onto them. You don't want to do that, especially if you're a controller player. You're gonna have a hard time flicking onto enemies. So on the screen I'm about to show you two examples of what to do and what not to do when you think there's an enemy around you, or when you're going into a building that you don't know nothing about. Alright, so that first clip really demonstrates what I see a lot of players doing wrong in Warzone. I've seen a lot of my friends do this. They'll walk around not really focusing on where they have their crosshair. You always want to have your crosshair where you think the enemy's about to be. So if you're about to turn around a corner, have your crosshair mid-level of your screen, always looking towards the next window in the house or the door. You don't want to just be walking around with your crosshair on the bottom of your screen, because what's going to happen is whenever you run into an enemy, you're going to have to flick that crosshair onto them, and chances are they're already aimed in and shooting at you, and they're going to kill you by the time you flick onto them. Alright, so those first clips demonstrate active aiming or crosshair centering, and that applies like the entire game. So you're always going to want to have your crosshair where you think the next enemy is. Never mindlessly be walking around aiming down at the ground. Never do that, guys. But now we're going to get into pre-aiming, and this is going to apply whenever you're in a gunfight or whenever you know enemies are around you. So basically, imagine you hear a guy running up at you, right? Instead of running towards him, you hear him coming. So go ahead and aim down sights where you think he's going to be. Now, I see a lot of people not doing this. They'll just be sprinting out towards them, and then they get killed. So if somebody's around you, try to catch them off guard. Don't just give away your element of surprise, guys. So in the next clips I'm about to show you guys, I'm going to be showing you an example of pre-aiming versus not pre-aiming. Now there are times when you're going to want to be fast and you're going to want to get the jump out on the enemy, and I'm going to be showing you how to do that also, but that's not every situation. Most situations you're going to already want to be aimed in. So I'm going to go ahead and run these two clips for you guys, let you guys see the difference. So pre-aiming is really what separates a lot of the average players from the really good players, and depending on how good you get at it, you can get like really fast. Like if you ever watch some of these really good Warzone players, they're so fast at it that you really can't even notice they're doing it, because they know when the enemy's coming and they're just able to do it, so they're not wasting a lot of time. Now whenever you're new to this, you're going to be thinking you're kind of camping a little bit, but eventually you'll get it down to where you're pre-aiming right at the right time, where you don't have to sit there that long wasting time. So it's really a learning process, and you guys will get it though. But this is going to bring us into our next tip, which is why you shouldn't always be sprinting so much, because sprinting can screw you over a lot of times. So Modern Warfare actually brought in a negative to sprinting. I don't believe this was in any of the other Call of Duties, maybe the latest ones, but in this Call of Duty, whenever you sprint, you have a slower aim down sight speed whenever you're coming out of that sprint versus if you're just walking. And there's also a super sprint, so whenever you super sprint, that's even slower than sprinting whenever you come out of that to aim down sights. So that's why I recommend only sprinting to get to your cover. And when it comes to SMGs, you're not going to want to be sprinting a lot in these fights. Most of the time you're going to be fighting in buildings and you're going to be fighting really up close. And if you ever get caught sprinting and the enemy's already aiming in at you, then you're going to have a lot of trouble aiming in at them while they're already shooting at you. So you don't want to make yourself slower. So don't over sprint in fights. If you know where the enemy is, go ahead and pre-aim where you think they're about to come and let them sprint to you. If you can come up with some way of making it where the enemy's always sprinting at you, then you're always going to get those first couple shots off and you're going to win way more fights than if you're the guy sprinting at the enemy. Alright guys, so the next tip we're going to be talking about is primarily SMGs only. Now, all the other tips we've been talking about have applied to a lot of other things besides SMGs, but this tip is really for SMGs only, and this is strafing. So strafing is whenever you're moving from side to side in a gunfight. Now, what a lot of players do is they'll just stand still during a gunfight, and that makes you a lot easier to hit. So what I'm going to recommend you do is move like straight to the right while aiming in your gun, and shoot during the entire time. Now this is going to make the enemy have a lot harder time hitting you, and chances are they don't know about strafing and they're going to be standing still and they're going to be an easier target for you to hit. So that's the tip I'm about to show you a clip of, and I'm going to show you how much different it looks, like how harder it is to hit somebody that's strafing versus somebody that's just standing still. Alright guys, the next tips we're going to get into is slide canceling and jump shotting. Now these two tips are going to help you clear out campers, people that are camping in a corner and stuff like that. So I recommend doing this whenever you know somebody's camping. You don't want to be pre-aiming in these situations. If you know somebody's around a corner, you don't want to go around the corner pre-aiming. You want to go around the corner jump shotting. But sometimes you're going to be the one pre-aiming. But in these situations where somebody's already camping, you're going to be the one doing a jump shot or a slide cancel. Now it all depends on whatever you're more comfortable with. Both of them do pretty much the same thing, but I'm going to go ahead and show you two clips of me jump shotting and slide canceling versus me just doing nothing at all. Alright guys, I'm going to go ahead and let the rest of the gameplay play out. Those are all my tips and tricks. If this video helped you out at all guys, please leave a like on it. I'm literally talking right now and it's like 3 a.m. in the morning. I set up all night trying to make this video. I messed up a couple thousand times. So this is my final take guys. Thanks everybody for watching. If you made it this far, let me know in the comments guys. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace guys.
I got my 13th kill for you. I want you to know that. That was my first dub in a minute. First dub on this account, I believe, too.